Good morning, welcome back to the vlog. Training's going pretty well this week, and it has been for the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks. I finally got some consistency back in my running, which I think is what I need, the main thing that I need in my training moving into Copenhagen. So this is episode 3 of the Copenhagen comeback. In today's video, I'm actually going to go through some questions that people have asked over on Instagram. Just general questions about my marathon block, about marathon running in general, on the way down to my local park run. So I'm going to run about 11 kilometers down to Malden Park Run, and then meet my mum and sister, do a 5k nice and easy. I've already done quite a lot of intensity in this week's training, so just be an easy run / long run, and hopefully answer some of the questions over from Instagram. But if you have any other general questions about my training going into Copenhagen or marathon training, leave them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you within the first few days of the publication of this video. Got the Saucony Speeds on this morning. Gonna try them over a sort of 18-kilometer run, get some nice pastries down there with my sister and mum, and then get a lift home. So yeah, should be a nice morning. I did this last weekend, so I've got about an hour to get down there and then meet my mum and sister for a nice cold chilly park run. But hopefully the sun will be out, fingers crossed. We haven't seen much of that in the UK really lately. Anyway, stop blabbing on, let's get down to park run. So there's no sunshine unfortunately. In fact, there's some pretty ugly looking clouds up above, but anyway, hopefully I don't get wet on the way to park run. The first question is from Ethan. He says, can you share with us your full marathon plan? Now I can. It's a plan that I've used before for a previous marathon. I'll put it up on screen here. It basically involves 1 speed session a week. I'm not going to be doing double thresholds like I did in this previous block. So 1 speed session on a Tuesday. I'm moving my marathon sessions from a Thursday to a Friday, and then I'm planning on doing a long run that alternates each week at the weekend. So my long runs I think are going to be the key part of the training. I'm planning to do quite a lot of race specific long runs, but I'm going to alternate them. So 1 week I'm going to do an easy, slightly longer long run, and then another week I'm going to do a slightly shorter, more marathon specific based long run. But yeah, my training plan is a little bit flexible with events that I've got coming up, but if you want to follow my training, as always I'm going to put everything up on Strava, so you can follow along sort of day by day. But yeah, that's the key principles for me. 1 speed session down at the track with the boys, the 1500 meter guys, 1 marathon session, sort of around 30k of volume, and then 1 longer run at the weekend. Woo, it is windy this morning. Sorry if the audio is a bit choppy. The next question comes from Carlos. He says, what is your time goal? Now that's a great question, and one everyone always likes to ask with marathon training. At the moment I'm 9 weeks out from Copenhagen, so basically I'm going to see how the training block progresses. This series is all about the comeback, the return from injury, so I'm not going to get too fixated on times. I'm not going to lie, if I didn't have one eye set on that 220 goal then I'd be lying, but I would take anything under 224 for this block. So ideally I'd like to be crossing the line in around 222 to 220, but we'll see how the block progresses and maybe I'll have a crack at the 220 goal if everything goes to plan. But yeah, this is all about a comeback, so I'm not going to put too much pressure on the time. I'm just going to enjoy the process over the next few weeks and see where I end up come race day. I don't know about you, but all my local routes at the moment look a little bit like this. That just goes to show how much rain we've had over the last few months here in the UK. Conditions have been pretty grim, especially this week. I've been doing double runs where I've had to go out in the rain twice. Lots of washing, it's not fun, but anyway, hopefully the sunny weather is on the horizon. The evenings are starting to get a little bit lighter now, so yeah, hopefully it won't be too long before those puddles start drying out. About 5k in, 5k to go until I reach park. The next question is from Ron. He's been a big supporter of the channel, so thanks Ron. But he asked, what's your dream marathon? I'm not gonna lie, Boston Marathon last year was pretty close to my dream marathon. Incredible experience going to America with ProDirect, and then to run 2:24 on that course, I was, yeah, over the moon. Everything went to plan. But if I had to put one race on as my sort of next dream marathon, if you like, it would definitely be London. I'm planning to do it next year, so not this year, in 2025, and also Tokyo Marathon. All the world majors, to be honest with you, would be pretty dreamy. So yeah, got to tick them up. Here we are, Malden, my local park run. Malden's is here.
Well done, thank you for choosing Malden Club as your first park run.
Bit of a false start at park run this morning. We're away. Bit windy. So there we go, just finished my local park run. Managed to get first finisher today. I think my time was around 19 minutes, maybe just under. But yeah, next question is from Toby. He says, do you have any advice on staying free from illness during marathon training? So, it's a good question because I always seem to get ill during my marathon blocks. I think when you just start training at high volume, you're just a bit more susceptible to illness. But things I try to do in terms of recovery is sleep. I think that's the biggest one. And then my vitamins, so I take vitamin D, C, I take Total Bone for my calcium to hopefully avoid any more stress fractures, and I also take Ultra Magnesium before I go to bed, which just helps get a good deep quality sleep. So yeah, I think illness is sort of unavoidable with marathon training. If you do get ill, it's not the end of the world. Marathon blocks are like 12 weeks long, so I think 3 or 4 days off isn't going to be the end of the world, so don't worry too much. But yeah, my main advice would be try to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep if you can. Here's my mum and sister. Ooh, Oxford half finisher. Yeah, last kilometre. Paced by Ellie. How are we doing, Ellie? PB today for mum?
Maybe, I don't think so though.
Maybe, maybe not. Is it a PB day, mum?
No, I don't think so.
No PB. Cut the tape. So we just finished the park run. Got Mrs. Salisbury's. We get coffee and a little croissant after every run, which is always nice. But the next few questions come in from the Wolverine. He says, I'm also running the Copenhagen for his first time. Can you share some course knowledge? So from what I can remember, it's a pretty flat course. There was a few bridges, which there was a few little inclines. It does get quite warm if you take your time. So my advice would be try to run it as quickly as possible, because I can remember on the day at about midday it started to get really warm. There's plenty of aid stations. It's a good course. Other than that, I just enjoy it. Not really anything to really look out for. It's quite a scenic course, and I enjoyed it last time, so hence why I've picked to do it again. Next question is from Matthew Dorr. How do you plan how many gels and how much liquid you're going to have during your running? So for me, I practice it during my training. So something that's worked for me in the past is to take a gel after the first 40 minutes and then half an hour after then. So yeah, just figure out what works for you, what your stomach can handle. And I always try to take my gels before a water station so that I can wash it down, so that I don't have a sticky sort of gel in the back of my throat when I'm trying to run, basically. And the final question is from Luke. He says, what's your go-to racing socks? My favourite socks are from a company called Shyu, S-H-Y-U. And if you use Ben, is running 15% off. And Matt, I think I've got a few coming for you, El, actually.
Oh, thank you.
Hopefully get us some socks. But yeah, they're my go-to racing socks. You can get them to match your racing shoes, which I think is pretty cool. And then they're just a good level of thickness and comfort for racing, for me personally. So yeah, go check them out. But yeah, that's enough questions for now. Heading home, and then I'll answer a few more. So back from parkrun, all showered and changed. I thought I'd just quickly go through 3 more questions to wrap up this video, and I'm trying to do them a bit more quick fire. So the first one is, will I go to altitude to do some training this block? The answer is no, I won't. I'd love to, but the way my schedule is over the next few weeks, I just don't have the time, but I would love to go to Kenya. I see a big benefit in it. But yeah, not this time, but definitely in the future. The next question is, at what point do I doubt myself the most in a marathon? I think for me it's around the 35 kilometer point, when you've still got about 7 kilometers to go. That's when the mental strength really comes into play. Your body is knackered, but you've got to get to the finish line. So yeah, I think those last 7 kilometers are really, really tough. If you can get to 35, then it all comes down to mental strength. And the last but not least, but probably the best question, so thanks for all of them that people sent in, was how do you transition from the 5k to the marathon? So I've actually written down 5 tips. So the first is to increase the volume of your easy run. The second is to build up your long runs gradually over time, maybe add 2 kilometers each week. The third is to reduce the intensity of your intervals, but increase the duration of each. So for example, instead of doing 400 meter repeats, you're now going to start doing 2k repeats. My fourth tip would be enter a few half marathons, maybe a few 20 milers, just to start to get used to the longer distances, the pacing strategies. And finally, my fifth tip would be to run your first marathon without a specific time goal in mind. Running your first marathon is all about crossing that finish line. You're never going to feel that sense of achievement again from a marathon, so just enjoy it, don't put too much pressure on the time, and yeah, that would be my top tips from transitioning from the 5k over to the marathon. Take your time, basically, there's no rush. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoy this video, please let me know. I'm happy to make a few more Q&As, maybe towards the end of this training block. I hope in the future, in the next few episodes, to document a bit more of the training that I'm actually doing. I've been focusing on actually getting it done recently rather than taking the camera out with me. But hopefully I'll get Liam out on the bike to get some footage in the next few weeks. Lots coming up on the channel, but until next time, aspire to run, run to inspire, and we'll see you again soon.